Hello again, wrestling fans, and welcome to another edition of the Ontario Indy Road Trip. This is your calendar of events happening all throughout Ontario. We're going to look at different events happening with Seaway Valley Wrestling, Halloween shows from New School Wrestling, Hamilton Wrestling Entertainment, Championship Wrestling from Ontario, Demand Lucha, and Destiny Wrestling, plus much more. We're looking at the schedule for the rest of October and going to dive into a little bit of November as cards are getting put together. However, we're going to start off this episode with a very special guest all the way from Welland, as we're going to talk about the special Wrestling with ALS event that is happening all weekend long, October 22nd to 24th. Joining me right now is Matthew Terry. How are you, sir?
I am doing wonderfully, and all the way in Welland. How far away are you?
Well, that's still about an hour and a half, probably drive, depending on how fast you drive.
I suppose. Okay,
Up
but
the 403.
all the way in Welland, and there's a lot of people who actually would say like, "Ooh, down there in Welland." So, because the only thing really below us is Fort Erie, I suppose, and Fort Erie has to be below us.
Yeah. And that's the bonus with Ontario scene is the fact that Ontario is anywhere drivable within a couple of hours, and you can get to any of these events. So there's no excuse for wrestling fans not to get a ticket and support independent wrestling.
That's right, and I do another podcast, Cornerstone of Wrestling. That's based out of the Ottawa region. Ottawa is now building up a reputation to be like one of, if not the strongest scenes in Ontario. The C4, I don't know, I think they've been going 15 years now, and I kept telling myself, I got to see C4, I got to see C4, I got to see C4. And there was one time I actually flew into Ottawa for another event, or not for a wrestling event, but for something I was down there for. And when I landed, I happened to look at my watch, and I knew that there was a C4 event that night. And I'm like, do I go to my hotel or do I go to C4? And I decided to go to my hotel because it was a long flight and I was a little tired. I regret that. I should have just taken driver, take me to C4, but I didn't.
Yeah, sleep is underrated. You can always get some great wrestling action. I know there is a C4 show coming up in the month of November, which we'll get to on our calendar. But you're here for a special reason with Wrestling with ALS. You want to tell us about that?
I am here for Wrestling with ALS, and Wrestling with ALS is an annual event. There you go. We started doing it in 2010. And it basically got born out of I was working for a company called Cytel, and we this guy who I worked with, he was in a band, and he liked wrestling, and he said, you know what, we should do a joint thing, like a concert and a wrestling show. I said, yeah, that'd be awesome. And he says, we should do it for charity. And I'm like, that's even better. And he said, well, what charity should we do? And not long prior, a friend, a mentor, an elder of mine, Jerry Judge, passed away from ALS. Jerry was the father of my childhood best friend, Brendan. And through the years, he was Brendan's father. He was also a mentor to me. He was a baseball coach to me. He was a coworker. I ended up working with him. We ended up playing competitive darts together. Jerry was a lot of things, and I'm from a small country town, and everybody knows everybody. And Jerry was one of those people who, like my father was a long haul truck driver, wasn't around very much, and then my parents split when I was 11 years old. And Jerry, and again, this was the type of town that I lived in. Jerry was, always checking in on me, like, how's Matt doing? Is he doing okay? Does he need to talk to? Does he need a whooping? I keep saying that. People think I'm joking. In the small town I grew up in, I would not doubt at all that, hey, Matt need a whooping? Because my mom was 4 foot, 4 foot nothing. So yeah, I wouldn't doubt at all that Jerry would have went to my mom and said, does Matt need a whooping? because I know his father's not around. You know, if he needs a whooping, just tell us that we need a whooping. Anyway, so we started doing that in 2010, and you know, the next year, like it was going to be a one and done, and then the next year, you know, people just started asking me like, "Are you going to do it again?" And so I did it again, and then, "Are you going to do it again?" I did it again, and it's just again and again and again. And this year, it's always been like a wrestling event. Of course, the first one, as I said, was a wrestling / concert. And this year, I because of the pandemic, the original idea was it was going to be all podcasts, all weekend, all podcasts. But then, you know, I got the idea of, you know, kind of, how would you say this? Like performance center-esque, no crowd type shows. So I was like, okay, we'll do that. I'll get a bunch of my friends. We'll go to Rip Impact School, and we'll record some matches. And then we'll put that on. But then, you know, as you know, restrictions have loosened and loosened and loosened. It turned into an actual wrestling event.
That's awesome.
And then Holden Albright, you know this. I think you were there when he said, "Hey, let's have a comedy show." Fucking A, yeah, let's do that. Let's have a wrestling show. And then Matthew Grant and his let's have an auction. And yeah, it just grew and grew and grew. So now it's podcasts, it's an auction, it's wrestling, it's comedy, it's a whole bunch. Live podcast, recorded podcast, box openings, it's just lots of stuff.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing with the Ontario Indy scene that we have here, that everybody's working collaboratively together. And when you brought along these people that you were thinking were going to be part of podcasting and maybe even wrestling at Rip Impact School, the juices got flowing. And as you said, Holden Albright, hey, let's do comedy. It's great when things come together really nicely. And this is going to be a great weekend on October 22nd to the 24th.
Yes. And another thing that I thought it was going to turn into a lot of monotony as far as the podcast goes. But when I reached out and I said, okay, what are you planning? What are you planning? What are you planning? So many different ideas and so many different genres, and like, you know, long form interviews, short form interviews. As I said, unboxings, fantasy tournaments, like, you know, yourself. And it's just amazing.
Yeah, that's right. We just let you know that we are doing a Fantasy Warfare tournament with mixed tag teams or Franken tag teams, so they can look forward to that. I believe our spot is Sunday, where all the podcasts are.
You would think I'd be prepared and I would have that next to me, but
well, I actually have the list.
Oh, look at you! Here. So what are you sitting like? I think just call it up. It's right here. Yeah, you got Sunday at 3 p.m. Now, card subject to change. Things can be moved around. You know, things have been happening, and I'm gonna guess some of this is gonna get moved around. So right now, you are in the 3 o'clock slot on Sunday, but that could very well change.
Yeah, and then as you see on the schedule, there's When Geeks Collide. There is the Handsome Genius Club, which I believe is Anthony Kingdom James. Gilmy Talks, Blackballed Podcast. That is Holden and his group. That's Pretty Ricky.
That's Pretty Ricky. That's right.
It's Blackballed. Turning Heel Podcast. The KJ PW one with Kieran. He just did the Fantasy Warfare tournament with myself. Yeah, there's a lot of different variety going on. This is Brandon. It's going to be on Friday night. Stand-up comedy after the wrestling.
Yeah. So if you can pop that back up, it'll just be a reference to me.
Yeah.
Okay. So like I'm going to run through quickly here, just so people that are watching this can understand. Like, well, what's this? What's this? So I'll give you a brief synopsis here. On the Friday at 5 o'clock, It's Time to Fight podcast. That is, of course, myself. The interview will be with Brendan Judge, who is Jerry's son. Might not really be a wrestling podcast, although they attended the very first Wrestling with ALS, so we're probably going to get to talk about that. Speaking of the very first Wrestling with ALS, at 6 p.m., we're going to stream the very first Wrestling with ALS from 2010. That's going to go for a couple hours. The This Is Brendan show. Here's a warning to everybody. Maybe have the kids in bed by that one. It's probably going to get a little blue. It's probably going to get a little adult. So that Brendan has already told me that from 8 to 9, it'll be a little risky, but it's not, they're not going to get too bad. But once 9 o'clock hits, then it's all bets are off. You've been warned. As you can see, yeah. So you can see the auction is going to be Saturday afternoon, 12 o'clock. A lot of people now. I'll openly admit it was a little slow getting donations, but now a lot of stuff is coming to fruition, and going to have a lot of great, autographed 8x10s, wrestling figures, just all kinds of different stuff. So tune into the auction, and the auction is free admission. So you can come to 35 C Park Drive in St. Catharines, which is where all the events are going to be happening on Saturday. And you don't need a ticket. You can come in and you can attend the auction from 12 to 2 o'clock. After that, if you don't have a ticket, you got to get the hell out. But you can come in for the auction. It's free admission, and the auction is going to take place live at 35 C Park Drive in St. Catharines. So you can come in for that. Then you have our two UK offerings, KJPW Podcast and Turning Heel Podcast. Blackballed Podcast will be live that day. Pretty Ricky, Tom Shalom, and Hardbody are going to be there live, and they're going to be doing their podcast live. This is Brendan. That's going to be live as well, by the way. So, but the Fridays offerings, they're all going to be streamed on itstimetofight.ca. That one will be live as well. Gilmy Talks. Then we have the live wrestling action. You and I are going to talk about that in just a second. And then right after that, live stand-up, pile drivers to punchlines, and that's featuring Mr. Mello. That's featuring Holden Albright. That's featuring Pretty Ricky. Joe Dog is going to be on there. Tony Adams, Kobe Durst. Apparently, I'm hosting. Who knew? I take me off the damn poster. Why? Because I don't want to be on the there. See, you saw the original poster, did you not? It was a big picture of Mello, and it was a big picture of me. And I said, why don't you just take my picture out and center yourself? And this is what we come up with: is me just being smaller and off to the side, which I don't like being on posters. But
there's always time for that.
There's always time for that. Anyway, all right. So if we go back to the schedule. So the greatest podcast ever, that's Dr. Bob, based out of Ottawa. There's a bit of an Ottawa theme here on the day. When Geeks Collide, that's Steve Brown. Cornerstone of Wrestling, that's myself and Ryan Allen, the former Tyler Logan. We're, again, talking about Ottawa wrestling. Scumbags of Wrestling. I don't know how the hell they got on this show, but, haha, funny. Handsome Genius. Yeah, Handsome Genius Club, as you said, was Anthony Kingdom James. And then It's Time to Fight podcast. And it says tentative. I don't like being on posters, and I don't like main eventing. But the 5 o'clock slot was to be taken up by Wrestling with myself. I wasn't going to say anything, but then when you showed me the poster, I saw it's there anyway, and people might be wondering where it is. And people might be asking what's going to happen. Of course, Wrestling with myself is with Scotty O'Shea. Let me take this opportunity to wish the absolute best to Scotty. And I don't quite know what's going to happen to that slot. It's probably not going to be It's Time to Fight. And if it is, it's going to be about Scotty. It will be 100% about Scotty. But I want to take this opportunity, just like so many people. Can you believe how much love and, well wishes on social media? And well deserved. I'm not surprised, but it's just to see it, to actually see it. And I'm trying my best not to sound like we're eulogizing this man. But
exactly. I get that too. I've seen so many people saying how great Scotty is. Post Wrestling gave a shout out to him on their show. Jimmy Corderas did his Rough and Rant was more dedicated to Scotty. And as I typed in the response to that, just like Mickey said in Rocky, I haven't heard the bell ring yet. He's going to kick out and
exactly. Like we don't know at this point that we're recording this. We don't know what's happening and what's going on. But yeah, I hate. I'm trying not to sound like I'm eulogizing the man.
Exactly.
Because
and there's a lot of love going for his wife and
exactly.
young baby too. So
exactly. And if I can recommend, because so many people are holding streams and events and things for Scotty, find one, take advantage of it. There's a GoFundMe. I don't know if there's different GoFundMes or if there is one GoFundMe, because it's a long link about that big. I don't know if it's the same one or not. But please, if you're listening to this, go find one, help out a little bit. Scotty has a beautiful wife, a new child. Until things get better in one way, shape, or form, we're gonna make things a little easier for Roz and for Charlie. So
exactly,
please do that. So, what do you want to talk about now?
Yeah, well, we do have an event, as you said, on Saturday the 23rd.
We do.
This year's Wrestling with ALS. So want to start off with the fact that there's a tournament going on. The Gary Judge Memorial Tournament. Want to tell us about that?
The Jerry Judge Memorial Tournament. As I said, this was dedicated to Jerry. And someone mentioned me, and what was I going to say? People have asked me, why is it still the Jerry Judge? Because it's kind of turned more into a ALS fundraiser. I just never changed the name. Leave me the fuck alone. I'm sorry if I can't swear, but leave me alone. Leave me alone. It's the Jerry Judge Memorial.
Well, it's just started off that way.
Oh yeah, it started off that way, and people are like, well, maybe you can phase that out. And I can tell them, shut up. It's Jerry Judge Memorial. Give that to me.
Or not. So what's going on with that tournament?
Well, the tournament has had different variations over the years. Let's just say that. The original Jerry Judge Memorial was a 3-way tag team elimination match, and it was the Entourage, which was Ashley Six and Ethan Page, and Team Shake and Bake, I'm guessing, which was Steve Brown and Logan Savage. Logan Savage? Yeah, Logan Savage. and Homeless Bob and Justin Graves. I can't remember what their team was called. Which, funny little story, they kind of got inserted into the match, and the guest general manager of the show, I'm not going to mention his name, he came out and he said, because he had gotten attacked or something, and he said, "You want to attack me? Well, I've got to," and he used a derogatory term for Italians, which I don't know if Homeless Bob and Justin Graves are Italian, but he used a derogatory term for Italians, which was terrible because the representatives of ALS were there, and both of them were Italian. And I'm walking up, and I'm just saying, like I'm so sorry. And one of them was kind of like, but the other one was just like, oh, And he was a wrestling fan, the one that just went. He gets it. So and luckily he was the head ALS guy, or he was the important ALS guy there. So what he said went. It was his opinion was more important.
Nice.
Anyway, so that was the original Jerry Judge, and then there was a lot of people were volunteering. So there was two triple threat matches, and then there was like a last chance battle royals, and then those 3 people went at it. And that one's stuck around for a little bit, and there's just been different versions of it. This year, it's 3 triple threat matches, and not because I have a lack of volunteers. It's just I just decided to change it up again. So we have, because why are there so many triple threat matches on this show? That's why. So we have the 3 triple threat matches. Do you want me to start going through them?
Sure.
Wonderful. Let's see. The first one, think, Matthew, think.
I'll put one up.
All right. Yeah, let's go to this one. Holden Albright, Rex Atkins, Steve Brown. Somebody once told me or like looked at me and said, "You like big man matches." Well, yes, I do. I really do like big man matches. because there was at one point that I had the largest, or what did I call it? A literally huge 6-man tag team match or trios match, whatever I called, and it was Steve Brown, it was Reese Greenaway, it was Bear. What the heck was his name? I'm not gonna remember now. Xavier. I'm gonna say Xavier Woods, but it wasn't. Xavier Steele or something like that. Anyway, it was 6 like really big guys. Because I do like big man matches, and so that is my guilty pleasure, my big man match, my just get in there and beat the snot out of each other match. Holden Albright, Rex Atkins, and Steve Brown. Holden, he's one of those guys that I have said he's going to be one of the next ones to break out, just absolutely break out. Rex, he is someone who I don't know why he hasn't broken out yet. I don't know but just I love Rex Atkins. I really do. Rex Atkins is a great guy and a great wrestler, and I'm going to make people notice him. And that's what this is kind of is. And Steve, I've known Steve for years. Steve is actually the defending Jerry Judge Memorial Champion. So Steve is trying to be the very first person to defend the Jerry Judge Memorial Tournament.
And next matchup, you have...
And someone got a hold of me and said, like, oh, did you just find 3 random guys? No, these are 3 guys, again, kind of like Rex Atkins, who I want to see. I don't see enough Elian Habanero. I don't see enough Tom Shalom, and I don't see enough JT Kirk. So I wanted to take these 3 guys, and I wanted to put them together, and we're gonna have a 3-way match, obviously, with them. Another 3-way match. So yeah. I just don't see enough of these guys, so I'm giving them a chance in the Jerry Judge Memorial Tournament.
Sort of a dark horse one matchup.
This one here, I know Eazy-E is a staple of the Ontario scene. That guy can do whatever the hell he wants to do, and no one's going to argue with him. And I don't mean he's some tough guy, but he could go out and win the championship in any promotion, and no one is going to say a darn thing because he is that damn good. Pretty Ricky, what can you say? Like, I don't think I can't think of anybody. I was going to try to think who has skyrocketed through the Ontario wrestling scene faster than Pretty Ricky.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Definitely doing this show that I do here. How many times Pretty Ricky is showing up at all these different shows? He is willing to go to all these different towns, whether it's St. Catharines, going up to Barrie, going to Toronto. He's all over the place.
And the confidence and the charisma and the absolute skill that he has. I can't think of anyone who and just bam, it was so immediate. There's a lot of guys who you take notice and you watch them, and then all of a sudden they find their niche or something, and boom, off they go. Pretty Ricky has just started here and just went straight up. So
yeah, he's a good interview as well. We had him on our show when he was going to go to Rex's house and beat him up.
I had him on my show too, and then that didn't happen, as I'm sure you were about to say.
He got lost.
Yes, he got lost or something. And then Emmanuel, I will openly admit, there was supposed to be someone else in this 3rd slot. And it just happened all in the same day. That person pulled out. And I saw Emmanuel for the first time at a New School Wrestling show. And I became a fan right off the bat. So when the person pulled out of the show, I started thinking, okay, now what am I going to do? Now what am I going to do? Now what am I going to do? And literally in that thought process, I am sitting there doing commentary on the New School event. And this person messages me, and they end up out of the show. And while I'm doing commentary, in the back of my head, I'm, well, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? Hey, I like this Emmanuel kid. What am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? Wow, I really do like this Emmanuel guy. What am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? I'm really impressed with this Emmanuel guy. I wonder if he'd like to do the ALS show. Why don't I just put him in the triple threat? So that's literally what happened at a New School Wrestling show. I'm sitting like, well, I could put this person in. I could put this person in. I could put this person in. I could put the, and I'm sitting there watching a manual. And by the time the match was over, I'm thinking, I got to get a hold of this guy, and I got to see if he wants to do it. And it's one of the first things I did when I got home. I got a hold of Steve, and then Steve directed me to one person who directed me to Emmanuel, and Emmanuel done on the show.
That's awesome. And how willing and open people are to do this when they could be probably getting a booking somewhere else. So the winner of those 3 matches is going to go on to the finals to win the cup.
They are, and there is no cup. But, you know, they're going to go to win the Jerry Judge Memorial Tournament. Now you're setting these expectations. Now I got to go out and get a cup.
Oh, my bad. Part of the undercard includes...
Okay, so this is where things get a little odd. they start getting a little weird. Moonshine branded wrestling. Let's kind of go back a little bit. Moonshine branded wrestling originally was called Triple X Wrestling, like years ago, like 15 years ago, maybe. Yeah, it was about 15 years ago. I started Triple X Wrestling, and it was I don't want to say an offshoot. What am I trying to think of? An homage, I guess, to ECW. I was a huge ECW fan. So I started running shows under Triple X Wrestling, and it was, again, an homage to ECW. Then I found Chikara, and I know in some circles that's a bit of a swear word, but I love Chikara. I don't care what people think. I will even say the word or the name Chris Benoit. You know. So I fell in love with Chikara. And then my brain started creating in the homage, I guess, to Chikara, or in the vision of Chikara, interspecies wrestling as well. I saw these two things, and my head just went boom. So
why not a cow and a human against each other?
Well, yeah, exactly. But that's where, and then I realized, well, Moonshine brand of wrestling, Triple X Wrestling can't be Chikara-esque. At least in my head, it just didn't fit. So that's where Moonshine brand of wrestling came from. Moonshine was my nickname when I got into wrestling in Ottawa for Universal Wrestling Alliance. So Moonshine branded wrestling is kind of my brand on a wrestling company. Now that we've gone through that history, yes, that's where you get a cow versus a human. The Muchador Olstein, thank you, Puff, for coming up with the name Muchador, because I had Mr. Rustling Olstein as a play on Mr. Wrestling Kevin Steen. So I had Mr. Rustling, as in a cow rustling, Olstein. And then when he faced Jobber number 69 at a New School Wrestling show, Puff was just sitting there, and he's just yammering on. He's not on commentary or anything. He's just yammering on. And he's just like, what the hell am I watching? What is this? There's a Muchador in the ring. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, oh, my God, I'm stealing that. So thank you, Puff. All the credit in the world to you. You are the guy who named the Muchador Olstein. And against Tony Adams, Tony Adams, Big Tony Boy. Yeah. He's pulling double duty. He's going to be wrestling, and then he's going to be doing the comedy show. But Tony Adams intrigues me. Tony Adams very much intrigues me. He is such a unique individual. So I got a hold of him. I didn't tell him he was wrestling a cow. I don't know what Tony Boy is going to think about wrestling a cow. He knows about it. He knows about it because it's been on Twitter, and he's answered it, or he's commented on it, but he hasn't really said how he feels about facing a cow. So I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Excellent. So that'll be a fun match in itself. And, of course, Matt Grant against Maul Santa.
Okay, everybody knows Matt Grant. And Matt Grant, I like Matt Grant. I really do. And he's another guy that I want to get as many reps as possible. and very willing, not just his auction, but he wanted to get onto the Wrestling with ALS show, and he wanted to compete, always looking to compete. And I respect the hell out of someone who just wants to compete. Give me something, I want to compete. Maul Santa is a bit of an enigma but not in a good way. An enigma as in don't really know, or there's some rumors as to what the hell happened, but that's all we know is Maul Santa. I will tell you, that's basically what his resume says. Maul Santa. He's been a Maul Santa most of his life. Don't really know what the guy's real name is. I get the impression he's a little buzzed at times. To each their own, as long as he's safe in the ring, I suppose. But yeah, so we just called him Maul Santa. And because, we had to give him a name, and someone just said, call him Maul Santa.
As long as he doesn't smell of Listerine and cigarettes.
Yeah, I suppose. Matthew Grant seems a little perplexed, and he should be. I don't know what to tell you about Maul Santa. I really don't. But actually, this might be a good time to tell you that the week leading into Wrestling with ALS, the podcast for Moonshine Branded Wrestling, Moonshine Branded Podcast, we're going to have a special pre-show for the leading up into Wrestling with ALS. And we're going to be talking to someone about Maul Santa. So hopefully we're going to get some answers as to a little bit of a background to Maul Santa, because I really want to know, and a background to Olstein. Let's get a background as to why this guy thinks he's a cow, because he just walks around going moo moo, and
exactly. If it's like Space Monkey, you're not going to get many answers.
So I'm trying to find someone. I'm trying to find a farmer, a butcher, I don't know, a farmhand who fondled. No, I was going to say Olstein wouldn't have teats. I don't know. Kind of lost my thinking there.
Somebody who can translate cow.
Somebody that can translate cow. I'm a farm boy. You would think I could translate cow. But hey, I booked the guy, so I must understand something.
Now, you posted that there's still another surprise to happen. I don't know if you want to break it here, or we can move on to the main event.
Oh, there's another surprise? There's one match that hasn't been announced. Yeah, and that's by design.
Okay, so see, there's going to be a surprise in that regards for people that are going to attend until it does get revealed, and we can move on to the main event.
I suppose. This is one of the co-main events. The finals for the tournament is the main event. That's what's going to close the show. But this match, where to begin? The very first Wrestling with ALS was supposed to have a 4-way flag match, and it had Canada, and it had Mexico, and it had Hungary, and it had I can't remember what the last country was. But obviously that never happened. And then for Wrestling with ALS 2, there was supposed to be a flag match, and there was going to be Canada, and there was going to be Mexico, and there was going to be Egypt and Hungary. So those were the 4. But I know Egypt wasn't in the first one. So there was going to be a flag match. Never happened. For Wrestling with ALS 4, I think we skipped 3. Yes, we skipped 3. There was supposed to be a flag match. Never happened. Hopefully, this one happens. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we're finally going to have a flag match. And as you saw, it is Mike Forte, it is Gabriel Fuerza, it is Alessandro Del Bruno. Now, Mike Forte, he is Canadian, but he's Italian-Canadian. And many people have mentioned that to me. So I realize that. And to Mike Forte, I say, hello. That's my Mike Forte impression. Hello. That's it. But Mike Forte is more than ready to represent Canada. So the rules of this match, and these are the same rules that was supposed to happen at Wrestling with ALS 1. So the rules of this match, each competitor, when you achieve a pinfall or a submission, okay, well, sorry, let's back up a little bit. The flags are going to be hanging above the ring, bundled up, raveled up. When you achieve a pinfall or a submission, you are then eligible to climb up and unravel your flag, and the first person to do that wins the match. So the rules are pretty simple, but I still want to get the rules out there because, to my knowledge, a flag match like this has never happened, and that is my vision. That is my vision of a flag match. So even though those rules are quite simple, I want to make sure those rules are out there so that when people are watching it, whether they watch it in person or they watch it live stream, that they know what the hell is going on.
Excellent. So yeah, three great guys wrestling on that flag match, and can't go wrong with it.
Like on their own, in and of their own, that's a great triple threat. So you're going to get a great triple threat of these guys trying to get pinfalls, trying to get submissions. And then once somebody does, now you've added the next element. But the first element are these three great wrestlers, these three great competitors having a great triple threat match.
Yeah, so let's run down everything that's happening again quickly, how people can see this event.
All right, so October 22nd and 24th, on the Friday, we are going to have podcasts, and we're going to live stream the very first Wrestling with ALS. On the Saturday, we are going to have podcasts. We are going to have a live wrestling event. We're going to have stand-up comedy. On the Sunday, we're going to have a lineup of great podcasts. There's the comedy show. So just a reminder of a couple things. Number one, the This is Brendan show. As I said, it's going to be a little more adult. From 8 to 9, it's going to be a little risky, but not too bad. 9 o'clock, all bets are off, and everybody's just going to be having a good time after 9 p.m. And they're going to go as long as they want to go. I don't know who Brendan's guests are going to be, but he said they could stay up all night just doing what they're doing. And
the stream run.
Exactly. The auction at 12 o'clock on the Saturday. It is live. It'll be online. It'll be live streamed on their Facebook page. But also, this is the only part of the weekend where it's free to the public. You can go in to 35 Sea Park Drive, and everybody's welcome to come in and watch the auction. It is free to everybody. You don't need a ticket. You don't need to pay admission. It is the only part of the whole weekend where you can come in and you can meet some of the wrestlers. They're going to be there as well. But you can come in and, again, you can bid on some stuff, some great autographed 8x10s, T-shirts, all kinds of different stuff. The wrestling event, Moonshine Branded Wrestling. The comedy event is, I've been asked to warn people, it's going to be kind of like This is Brendan. It's going to be an older age show. You can see it on there. Approximately 8 p.m. Adult content, discretion advised. So if you bring the kids along and you plan on sticking around for that comedy show, you have been warned that there is going to be some adult content. We're going to talk about some penises. We're going to talk about, a shit here and a fuck there and, gay love over there. This is just the stuff that, and you can vouch. You can vouch. I'm not making stuff up. We have meetings about this, and so I'm going to talk about gay love, and I'm going to talk about did somebody say they were going to? No, nobody said they were going to tell. Oh, someone said, hey, we'll talk about rape. No, I don't have a rape joke, but these are the type of discussions people are having. So you have been warned.
It's somewhat a peek behind the curtain of what goes on before the bells and before the people come into the building.
Yes, But that's my way of warning everybody that it's going to be a little adult. The wrestling show is going. So maybe if you bring the kids, get grandma or grandpa to come pick them up at the end of the wrestling. Give them a kiss on the head. They can go spend the night over at grandma and grandpa's, and you can watch the comedy.
Yeah, and then Sunday is all podcasts.
And Sunday is all podcast. And again, is it the 5 o'clock slot? I'm sorry, my brain is mush. I get up very early in the morning. The 5 o'clock slot, is that the last one?
The last one is 5 o'clock. Yeah.
Yes. Again, right now in that schedule, the one that's circulating right now, it does say it's time to fight, but it says tentative. Again, I said it before. That was to be Wrestling With Myself slot, of course, Scotty O'Shea. Again, best wishes to Scotty. Get out there and help Scotty. Whatever that slot is, whether it's time to fight or whatever. Yeah, I'm thinking odds are it's going to be a Scotty themed podcast. But yeah, that's the only real thing on Sunday.
Yeah, so it looks like a great way to get together, have a fun weekend, and also help out ALS research.
Yes, and you asked, how do people find this? You can go to itstimetoffight.ca. You can go to our Facebook page. You can go to our Twitter, which is @TimeToFightPod, and there are links to the tickets, and there are different packages. If you just want to see the Friday, if you just want to see the Saturday, if you just want to see the Sunday, if you want to see all of them, if you just want to see the wrestling, or if you want to see the wrestling and the comedy, those are not separate. Those are together. So if you want to see the wrestling and the comedy, and that's all you want to see, you can buy tickets to that. Again, the auction is free. I don't know why I'm reminding you that, because we don't sell tickets to it. You want to come? Come. But yeah, it's all going to be on there. And tickets are going well. We're going to have a good crowd, and yeah, if there you go on there, you can check all the different ticket packages. And I gave you a promo code. Did you give it away?
Not yet. That's what I was going to do right now.
Oh, you're going to do that right now? Yay! Okay, how are we going to do this?
How we're going to do this is you can see how to contact me all through the bottom. So ideally, Facebook. Or email me, preferably this time email scumbagsofwrestling@gmail.com. Send me who you think is going to win the flag match. You pick one of those three. I don't know who's going to win it. You send me your pick for that match. You're entered automatically into the draw, and they'll be drawn on October 21st, and you will get your code to get access to this event. So once again, who is going to win the triple threat flag match? Email your answer to scumbagsofwrestling@gmail.com.
Yeah, your choices are Mike Forte, Gabriel Fuerza, Alessandro Del Bruno.
So any of those three names, you automatically get entered into the contest, drawn on October 21st, and we will send you the code so you can be a part of this great show.
Awesome.
So
I really appreciate it.
Anytime. So I want to thank you for being a part of this. I was going to put this for next week, but because of all the stuff that's going on, I'm going to actually launch this on Wednesday.
Okay.
And so this will be tomorrow, October 13th. And then we'll cut it up into another episode for the following week, hyping up the last March to the show. So thank you, Matt, for being a part of this and putting this all together.
I really appreciate everything you're doing, Shawn, not just this, but what you're going to be doing for the actual event. I appreciate it. And everybody that's listening to me, I appreciate everything that everybody does to help out a cause that's very, very near and dear to me.
Yeah, and hopefully we raise some great funds for that. So I will talk to you off air, and I'll sign off on this part of the Ontario Indy Road Trip and come back later with the rest of the calendar.